You challenge. We'll tell you what we want. You already in Tada, but don't know you want me. What's wrong? Yeah.
Paris quoi? Il y avait un incoming. What did it say?
Bring you all of the major happenings and you're about to speak to media. No, massive party, no, down, bullies down, sleepers down, shut it down, forward, propo was his forward, propo was his forward, free tuition forward, investment forward, This is a party we wanted to know. Samaria, 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 Presovia, 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 the way you live, the way you live, the way you live, make us to live, make us to live, the way you did, the way you did, make us to live, make us to live. Oh, tell me what you say. Walele, walele, tell me what you say. Walele, we will not get This is a party I want to do. This is a party I want to do. Hey, I want to be a citizen. Hey, I want to be a citizen. Hey, I want to be a citizen. This is a party I want to do. We will never run away from CDC. If you want to fire, we will never run away from CDC. Mother, Congress for you. Joseph, for the reason you are here.
Amanda! Amanda! Awetu! Amanda! Amanda! Awetu! Awetu! Viva, viva, President, we are viva! Viva! Viva, 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 President, we are viva! Viva! Long live, long live, long live, long live, long live the Blue Revolution, long live! Long live! Long live, long live, long live the Blue Revolution, long live! Long live! Forward, forward, forward to road connectivity, forward! Forward! Forward, forward to free education, forward! Forward! Forward, forward to proper housing units, forward! Forward! Forward, forward to freedom of speech, forward! Forward! Amanda! Down, 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 down to sectionalism, down! Down! Down, 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 down to backward lobbyists, down! Down! Down, 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 down to want to brand the country down! Down! Down, down, down to protesters, down! Down, 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 respond to the Bible, down! Amanda! Amanda! Long live, President, we are long live! Long live! Long live, the party's pro can be so long live! Long live to the party's pro, Morris come long live! Long live! Viva, 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 2023, viva! Viva! Viva, 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 the master party, viva! Viva! Amanda! Amanda! Awetu! Awetu! Maibuye! Maibuye! Iliberia! Iliberia! Riasonovetenese! Freskener! Bawoness! Freskener! Ruthlessness! Oh, the machine! Are we going? Are we going? Are we going? Atinao, the people's revolution, Atinao! Monao, the party is here to stay, Monao! The party are not going to bend after the revolution, yo! The party remains supreme, yo! Amanda! Comrades and friends, distinguished partisans, revolutionary paratroopers, sympathizers, men and women who believe in the ideological precepts and the revolutionary construct of Liberia's only mass-based, indispensable grassroots liberation movement. It is important to bring you one unabated revolutionary salutation and felicitation from the wombs and mattresses of Africa's funniest revolutionary movement, and from the offices of the man who presides over the tripartite sections, the Cross and John sections of the indomitable mighty coalition for democratic change. So, revolutionary respect and salute to Tememolwake Molu Jr. And also want to use this medium to bring you greetings from the offices of the man who presides over the tripartite sections and the John sections of the Revolutionary National Youth League of the indomitable mighty coalition for democratic change. So, in presence of Comrade Jefferson Tamakwoji, the leader of the young people, the leader of this generation, the face of the young people here from Revolutionary Army. Again, we must take a decent revolutionary strategic flight to zoom in the office of the man who is a political leader, man whose shoulder lies the survivability and the breadth of this global institution, the mighty coalition for democratic change. So, he is a founding fellow figure of the Blue Revolution. He's the man who led so many generations into battle. And today we have honor to recognize and appreciate the gallantry and resilience of Papa George Mananubia, President of the Republic of Liberia and Stena Bureau, concomitant political leader of the indomitable mighty coalition for democratic change. So, we also like to take this time, comrades and friends, to recognize all of you, our partisans and well-wishers, sympathizers, and solidarity forces, ground forces, home and abroad. On the most strategic note, it is important to also take a brief introductory draft as we recognize the full bench of the Revolutionary National Youth League of the Indomitable Market Coalition for Democratic Change. So, we'd like to take this time to recognize the chairman of Montserrat County. Put the hands together for him. Manda! Comrade, Chairperson, Miseli, resides over Montserrat County, is a firebrand revolutionary. He is a diehard devotee and unapologetic disciple and crusader of the Indomitable Market Coalition for Democratic Change. So, Honorable Alexander, you have a revolutionary honor. Again, we must recognize men who are here consummating the full bench of the Revolutionary National Youth League. We have the National Treasurer of the Youth League, is Commissar Tanu Maulo Bongoli. He is the Commissar on Treasury, the National Treasurer, as a matter of fact, of the Revolutionary National Youth League of the Indomitable Market Coalition for Democratic Change. So, we also have Comrade Aguilar, the reincarnated Thomas Sankara, Mohammed Bamba Jini. Mohammed Bamba Jini is the Deputy Secretary General for Research and Records. He is the Deputy Secretary General for Research and Records of the Revolutionary National Youth League of the Market Coalition for Democratic Change. So, Comrade Mohammed Bamba Jini has my revolutionary honor. Look at him, he's a reincarnated Thomas Sankara. Amanda! The man's physical appearance, physical anatomy, or a physiology, better say his phenotype, can be traced to a direct image of the sacrifice of African liberation struggle, Thomas Sankara. Revolutionary honor. Again, it is important because this is a routine. It is a traditional ritual that we must observe in this party. That is why when you come to the press conferences of the Youth League and this coalition, it speaks of the unity, the uniqueness that distinguishes from the rest of other mushroom political institutions. Mushroom to emphasize, mushroom to say the best. And so we said to you, we are here men with fraternal revolutionary feelings and understanding of this great party. So we want to zoom in the vice chair, the Assistant Secretary for Administration, or Deputy Secretary for Administration. We call him the Commissar for the Secretarial in Administration. The man is a brilliant and a prolific intellectual by excellence. He is a bulwark of intellectualism. Comrade Aguilar, battle-tested cadre, Hassan Dylan. Give him comrades, give him a round of applause. It is important to do that. Amanda, these are men that continue to labor under the banner of this institution. We also have Comrade Aguilar, revolutionary, runner, master stroke, Pele Patakwa Dobayu. He is the Vice Commissar on Welfare, an outstanding revolutionary, exemplary young intellectual figure whose history in the liberation struggle of our country needs not to be overly accentuated or emphasized. And so we are pleased. We are pleased to recognize Comrade Aguilar, Brandon Master Stroke, Pele Pastor Dobayu. Very important to also take this time to recognize Chairman, the Vice Chairman on Program Policy and Planning, a revolutionary scholar, the reincarnated D12 of Better State Abapo, a man whose linguistic argument, ability is unquestionable. And that's why we say to you that the Youth League is the most educated political barometer in the history of national politics in this country. It's unarguable. Because men here are men who were processed into a laboratory of consciousness and revolutionary academic mobility. So they are working intellectuals and working revolutionaries, working revolutionary machines. Comrade Lord Vice Chair Commissar, Vice Commissar on Program Policy and Planning. We also like to recognize the man who to take a flight and flip a few pages in the Angolan Revolution. You realize that the Angolan Revolution was characterized by three forces that were calling for independence against the Portuguese. Led by Antonio Memo Quat, we have a unit that was organized under the banner of the Union for Total Independence of Angola, led by Jonas Sambibi. We have Holder Roberto organized the FNLA, that is the Front for the National Liberation of Angola, that was also fighting for independence against the Portuguese occupation. Then we have the MPLA. The MPLA was the Movement for the Popular Liberation of Angola, which was headed by Dr. Agostino Nito. So his inspiration, the reincarnated Agostino Nito, is no other person else but the man who controls the pen industry, the man who dots the I and crosses the T on behalf of the Revolutionary Secretariat of the Interminable Mali Coalition for Democratic Change, Revolutionary National Union. So, it's no other person else but the man who is the Agostino Nito in our generation, Emmanuel Boba Johnson. Yaman revolutionary honor. Again, tradition must be obeyed, not to be understood, and not to be argued. So, in extension, we have to recognize the Vice Chair for Administration, Josephine Davis, the female candidate of the Revolutionary National Union of the Mali Coalition for Democratic Change. So, in extension, we have to recognize the Vice Chair on Political Affairs, Cadre Emmanuel Titi Soin of the Revolutionary National Youth League. So, in extension, we like to recognize in extension the Vice Chair for Operation, the man who is clothed with responsibility to organize activities regarding operations, the modus operandis, and regarding the modus vivendi of this party in the context of the Revolutionary National Youth League workings. He's Janje Bape. It is important to recognize the Vice Chair on the Bureau of Gender, Kadre Mamina Ka, Donga. She is a revolutionary female gladiator, a party that believes in gender equity and gender sensitivity. It is important, Congress, to recognize the Vice Chair. The Vice Chair on International Affairs, Commissar on International, Vice Commissar on International Affairs, is Kadre Jara Harris. Again, not to forget Kadre Revolutionary Elitra Wale, the Vice Commissar on Governmental and Legal Affairs, and to recognize also the Vice Commissar on Finance and Investment, Kadre Agustin. Lastly, to recognize the most powerful, to recognize the extension, the most powerful youth league chairperson in Liberia, Africa, and the world at large. As a matter of fact, is a towering young revolutionary figure in terms of the man who presides over the tripartite sections of the Revolutionary National Youth League of the Mali Coalition for Democratic Change. Chairman Jefferson Feto Koji, Better State Tamai Koji, one of the most enviable working revolutionary machines in the history of this country.
The face of the young people. Say you.
And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is important to pay revolutionary homage to you, members of the Pope Estates. By extension, you are revolutionaries because it is through you we use your media to get the messages to our people as a conduit or an aqueduct to which we disseminate information to the masses of our people. We understand that you are pressed men and women, but of course, it is important that we recognize it because you also play a very pivotal role in terms of distributing the revolutionary gospel messages across the land and breadth to our people. So we give you revolutionary honor for your resilience, for your gallantry, distinguished members of the Pope Estate. Ladies and gentlemen, today's press conference will speak to critical national issues in the country, like Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, in one of his postulations, he said, and I quote, that the hand by which great men reach was never obtained by solid flight. I want to say the hand by which great institutions reach was never obtained by solid flight. But while their friends or companions were abroad lobbying against the state, the CONGO for democratic change, the Coalition for Democratic Change, men and women of revolutionary consciousness retreat to the barricade and continue to charter a new course and create a path for the forward march of the popular people liberation. It's never wrong. And that's why today, again, we are now going to bear after the struggle and after the revolution, and the youth has come clearly in an unambiguous and invited tune to speak to a plethora of critical national issues. These issues will include, but not be limited to the following. 1. The Youth League will give a perspective on the President's address to the guests ended of his recent presentation made at the level of the United Nations General Assembly on behalf of the Republic. The Youth League will also give its official perspective and position as a policy direction on issues about the crisis, the would-be crisis surrounding the issues of Orisa Sativa, or rice, the stable food rice, Orisa Sativa. So the Youth League will say to you a perspective on the current happening in the rice sector, vis-a-vis the climate of the country. The Youth League will also rumble through in a policy direction perspective, will give its position on the statement made by a subterranean intellectual dwarf of the Unity Party so-called chairperson. The Youth League will not stay there. The Youth League will then navigate our way through and give you an official position on the previously announced 56th birthday celebration of the political leader of the Indomitable Mali Coalition for Democratic Change. So, those are plethora issues that the Youth League will speak to, and we ask you members of the press and fellow Liberians, home and abroad, to follow us keenly, and the man who will deliver these perspectives and positions on behalf of the Youth League is a man seated in the blue. The man seated in the blue chair is a man been very attired in the CDC's direct paraphernalia. Is a man who is the Secretary General of the Revolutionary National Youth League of the Mali Coalition for Democratic Change. So, it's none of us else but casual Augustine into Mother Johnson will take all the position, and after that, move to the press to ask our questions in the contest and the better weight of our official position. Thank you ever so much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We are honored now to listen to Cadre Emmanuel Mobile Johnson, thank you so much. Thank you ever so much to the official mouthpiece and political scientists or biologists. We refer to him as the Sino-Atra Nor of the Revolutionary National Youth League of the Indomitable Mighty Coalition for Democratic Change. Comrades and friends, revolutionary ally, the mass media, distinguished colleagues, I bring you warm revolutionary greetings for the man who have continuously inspired the Revolutionary National Youth League of the Indomitable Coalition for Democratic Change. Comrade compatriot Adiola Jefferson Tamakoji. Through his inspiration, thousands of young people have trooped their way with ideas, not with arms. But we are cognizant that ideas are weapons in the struggle. I bring you greetings, comrades, from the chairman of the Tripartite section of the Liberia People Democratic Party, the National Patriotic Party, concomitantly the Mighty Congress for Democratic Change, comrade compatriot Moba K. Malu. It is with humble greetings that I bring you revolutionary pleasantry from the man who's under his leadership, under his able leadership, there is still hope and optimism. His Excellency, Dr. George Manawia. A man who, in Liberia, in our lifetime, we vision. And in Liberia, we are living. Is a exemplary qualification of a free Liberia. A Liberia that is experiencing growth. A Liberia that has regard and respect for the rule of law. A Liberia that is experiencing a decent democracy. A Liberia that have care. The ordinary Liberians have care for one another. And that the president understands the life and voices of the people. It is a Liberia that we are aware of. That His Excellency Dr. George Manawia is playing his part to transform the life of ordinary citizens. President Weah did not read about poverty. He lived poverty. He understands what it means to go to bed hungry. He understands what it means for an ordinary Liberian to not have food on their plate. He understands those different things. And so we encourage you to bear with us as we go through the official press release of the Revolutionary National Youth League of the Indomitable Mighty Coalition for Democratic Change. So, this is the opinion of the cross-section of the Revolutionary National Youth League held by comrade compatriot Jefferson Tamakoji. The Revolutionary National Youth League of the Mighty Coalition for Democratic Change appreciate His Excellency Manawia, President of the Republic of Liberia and standard bearer of the Coalition for Democratic Change, for his outstanding deliberation at the 77th United Nations General Assembly. President Weah's splendid deliberation at UNGA clearly outlined the numerous gains our country continues to make, ranging from address youth rehabilitation and empowerment to economic recovery.
to actions against climate change, to gender-based violence, flourishing democracy and the rule of law, good governance, amongst others. Amid President Weah's sincere deliberation, it is quite unfortunate that a false prophet in the United Party Chairman Luther Tappet that will blind his eyes to the maximum gains that this government has made and choose to spill out innuendos. We believe that Luther Tappet has his deeds unfold was among the 7 demons released by Satan and call on the Council of Churches to expel him if the Council of Churches wants to uphold its core value of integrity. We want to further commend the President for highlighting the looming potential shortage of rice, our staple food on the Liberian market, upon his return to the country. The Revolutionary National Youth League joins the President and call on all relevant authorities to address the situation as soon as possible and it sees this impeding situation as a signal of national emergency, which must be treated with the utmost priority. While the Revolutionary National Youth League recognizes some exogenous shock, like the Russian-Ukraine war and the impact of COVID on prices, it would like to encourage the relevant authority to open the market and prioritize investment locally. Going local does not mean waiting up the outside world. It means nurturing local-owned rice businesses that use local resources sustainably, employ local workers at decent wages, and serve primarily local consumers. We must be able to feed ourselves. By this, we believe it means becoming more self-sufficient and less dependent on rice importation from India and China. Furthermore, the Revolutionary National Youth League is concerned with the arbitrary hack in tuition and fees by administrators of private high schools around the country. We see this action on the part of those involved as grossly insensitive and callous, and call on the Ministry of Education to wake up from its slumber and do the needful to bring to those schools to book as a nation striving for a better future. We cannot downplay the role of educating the next generation of leaders because human capital development is the fundamental pillar on which every nation relies for sustainable growth and development. Meanwhile, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the Fourth Estate, with immediate effect, dissolve the President's 56th birthday committee and commend everyone who has made a contribution and can assure you that every fund collected by the advisory chairman, Governor Vincent Williams, will be duly accounted for. We call on all partisans, well-wishers, and sympathizers to join the Youth League and religious leaders on Friday, September 30th, 2022, at various mosques in the country to offer prayers for our standard bearer and president, His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah. At the various churches on Saturday, as well, on October 1, 2022, as means of celebrating the 56th birthday of His Excellency Dr. George Opon Foklekplom Sekozi Manneh Weah, done and issued on the 28th day of September AD 2022 by the mandate of the National Executive Committee of the Revolutionary National Youth League of the Indomitable Mighty Congress for Democratic Change in Extension Coalition for Democratic Change. Signed, Comrade Compatriot Emmanuel Mawba Johnson, National Secretary General, Revolutionary National Youth League, Indomitable Mighty Coalition for Democratic Change. Manda.
Manda. Amana nika Afrika wetu. Amana nika Afrika wetu. The official position of the Revolutionary National Youth League or Indomitable Mighty Coalition for Democratic Change. The mitochondria of the powerhouse, the gatekeepers, the first line of defense of the Blue Revolution Against the backdrop, comrades and friends, members of the Fourth Estate, you now have the time and you will be given the opportunity to ask just 3 questions. And we are asking you to be very succinct, at the same time ask questions on the basis of what has been our official position. Anything outside of the revolutionary question or bracket, we will quarantine the questions for next press conference. Amanda! Thank you ever so much. Let's begin with a brother who just raised his hand. Call your station, your name, and the institution you represent.
My name is Steven. I'm from the...
Call your full name, please.
My name is Steven G. Philadua.
Okay.
And I'm from the Analyst newspaper. I followed the Reverend statement, and some of the things he's talking about have to do with according to him, the president mentioned there were some issues, effort made by government to put into place or to resolve the issue, which of course, according to him, he has not seen that happen. He also mentioned that in the president's statement, he mentioned that the country was stable and moving through, but yet still there is no job for the Liberian people so that they can be able to feed their family. And according to the press statement that was released by the Ministry of Information late yesterday evening, I stated that the Reverend failed to name those issues specific. And in your press conference here, now that you have also defended that statement, you have not laid those specific according to...
What is the question?
Yeah, so you have to be specific.
So what is the question?
You have to be specific.
I'm saying...
Yeah, you have to structure your question very well,
I'm
okay?
saying the Reverend...
Take your time. Take your time.
I'm saying the Reverend, according to the press statement, he failed to list those things that he actually described the press, and the president addressed according to what he said.
Right.
And in your statement too, you have now list what the president said. In your presentation.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, so we'll take one more. And you get the response. We'll later on take the last question.
Okay, I'm Thomas Kojogola.
Please be short and at least go to the point.
I'm Thomas Kojogola. I work for Freedom FM. So I want to know what prompted the action of the CDC to dissolve the President's investigation.
Okay, what prompted the ULI's decision to dissolve the President's birthday committee or celebration? So there are 2 questions.
Let me deal with this too. Yes, so to deal with your question, and I think you are agreeing with the Youth League because the Youth League was very categorical in her press release as the president mentioning those different interventions made by national government at the General Assembly. And we were kind of identifying the moderate party in the Unity Party to understand that it is important not to blind his eyes on those numerous gains made by the leadership of His Excellency Dr. George Manawia. In addition to that, there are too many things that is available that we encourage him. We encourage him to seek some information. I mean, it's easy to go to the Ministry of Youth and Sports requesting for information regarding at-risk youth empowerment program. Perhaps he had no idea. He was speaking, out of temporary or permanent insanity. So we expect him to seek all of those different informations. There have been different interventions for at-risk youth empowerment program. There has been need assessments. The UNICEF is working in line with, UNFPA is working in line with the Ministry of Youth and Sports. They have made an assessment. The UN partner have committed over 3 million. They have committed over 3 million. The government has committed over 750,000 just for the rehabilitation center. And moving forward, there have been numerous of interventions. President Weah committed $1 million, 13.8 million, the overall. President Weah have committed, he has made numerous interventions, and the only person who will speak in such a manner is someone who has what it takes to lead a country. And we are aware that Luther, is a political JJC. He schemed his way through the church, and today he's masquerading in arrogance. So I just calling him to caution that he has to be cautious in proceeding, because it is important that you seek information before speaking. The World Bank have issued numerous of papers, and you can go and research that. There was a recent stats on the Human Development Index. Liberia have at least increased by 1%. Look at that. And there were issues regarding maternal mortality. The data also shows that Liberia is advancing on that, and child mortality. So those things, if Luther is kind of analytical, or he is the chairman that he's supposed to be, but we're not surprised. We're not surprised that Luther is the chairman of the Unity Party. It is on the basis of the failures of the Unity Party that today we have the Indomitable Coalition for Democratic Change. So everything he said will be measurable, issue of allegations that is not proven or that have no iota of truth. To move on to the next question, what was it again, please?
Why did the Youth League dissolve the president?
So I just told you that President Weah is the president of the people. He understands what it means. And I told you very clearly, he understands what it means to go to bed hungry. He never read about poverty. He lived poverty. He experienced poverty. And if you close to President Weah, you know to what extent he has this huge sense of humanity in him. It is the instruction of His Excellency President George Manuel Weah that the youth people see in this direction. Because if there is a situation or suspicion of a fee, or any other saying does not fee, it be fitting that we go ahead and celebrate birthday in the manner and form in which we outlined it. This still does not suggest that we are not going to the church to offer prayers. We are going to the church to offer prayers for His Excellency. We are also going to the mosque to also offer prayer for our political leader in Stenenberg. We believe that hope still exists in Liberia. There is still optimism in the life of our young people. And I said it during the first press conference, and I want to say it again, that the Coalition for Democratic Change is Liberia's only liberation movement. It is the party of the people. It is the party that is transforming lives, both Dole community, both Newtown, both West Point. It is the party that sons and daughters from these slums and shanty towns were dignified under His Excellency President George Manuel Weah. So today we have assistant ministers in the stratas of government. It has to do with the leadership of President Weah. And he knows very well and understands what it means when these things are happening. So those were the inspiration or inspirational lines or line of thinkings that gave the Youth League the fundamental courage to take this position. And we are moving cautiously on this position and encouraging systems or authorities that has to do with the issue of rice. You know the situation of rice in our country. We encourage those authorities to open the market, to allow competition, to have a specific focus on local content, the local production of our rice. We must be able to feed ourselves. And I know the Ministry of Agriculture is doing that. We encourage them to do more. And that is the basics and fundamental pillar for which we have addressed this press conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Last question.
Thank you very much. My name is Sekou Aminata Kone, and I report for Strong FM and Strong TV Liberia. I'm increasing the prices of rice. As you can recall, rice is the staple food in our country, Liberia, and history has made us to understand that the increase in the price of rice caused chaos in this country. Moving forward, since the CDC-led government took over in 2018, we have experienced series of increment in the prices of rice and the shortage of rice on the Liberian market. From the Revolutionary National Youth League own observation, what do you think is the root cause of the increase in the prices of rice, and what is the Youth League recommendation to relevant authorities to put an immediate end to this as we approach the 2023 elections?
Yeah, okay, so let me respond to you directly before we take another question. That it is on an erroneous pillow or foundation your question came. That since the inception of His Excellency leadership, President Weah, there is continual increasing increment in the price of rice. I think you have to do a very better research on that. I think you are out of information. That will encourage you to investigate more, moving forward, because that is far-fetched. That is very far-fetched. And sometimes you don't have to be an economist before understanding that exogenous factors have impact on local prices. So if there's a situation, anonymously, there's a situation, an uprising in India, you know that India is the largest producer, not producer, but exporter. India is the largest exporter of rice. India. China is the largest producer of rice. China is not exporting rice as compared to India. Why? Because China has a bigger population. Even China take rice from India to produce wine and noodles. So to get the information on why things prices are like this, there are exogenous factors first. You have to consider those different factors. Beyond that, there might be some savage producer or savage supplier who want to hold on to the commodity at a disadvantage of the consumer. So, President Weah will not be in the full and all that. No. President Weah is doing his best. And since he came, like I said, you need to seek more information. The Ministry of Agriculture involved into local production of rice. And there was over $14 million. There were over $14 million from the central government. The Minister of Finance had directed that for a subsidy for importers, rice importers, to stick the price at $13. So Liberians has enjoyed the advantage of good leadership under His Excellency President George Manuel Weah. So the information that you brought out continuously on President Weah, there has been increment in rice, it's false and erroneous, it has zero iota of truth, and I encourage you to seek more information regarding that.
Thank you, comrades. And this brings us to the end of the press conference. I'd like to again, on behalf of the full bench of the Revolutionary National Youth League, of the Deputy Market Coalition for Democracy, I want to appreciate you. Say thanks for coming. Man Africa, I wait to the struggle continues. Oh, Congress,
Wonderful. Wednesday.